pregnant in October.
October? You just said
I
March.
got
Like, which
pregnant
one is it?
and had a miscarriage. Please don't sit here and try to play me like I didn't carry your baby the first time. I've been pregnant by you twice. This is what we're not going to do.
I got my whole family calling me like, why is it another man with your daughter Paige talking about daddy's baby? Like I said, I got doubts. I mean, she look like him. She got my nose. She look like both of us, you ask me, but...
Both y'all get on my nerves.
And he knew exactly what was going on with that other guy. He don't want to take responsibility and be a man and stand up. He came over to visit. How was it 30 days we was having concessions all that time? He is lying, bro.
Judge Lake addresses Mr. Pendleton about his claim of being unable to father children. He confirms this claim, adding tension to the case as he disputes the paternity of Ms. Cotton's daughter.
Mr. Pendleton, you are here today with your mother, and you both believe that it's impossible that you fathered Ms. Cotton's daughter because you claim you are unable to have children.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Cotton accuses Mr. Pendleton's mother of meddling and influencing her son's denial of paternity. She expresses frustration towards the mother's interference, emphasizing the impact on Mr. Pendleton's responsibilities.
First of all, I just want to say his mother needs to mind her business. Like, at the end of the day, Darren is a grown man. And I understand he's a mom boy or however she treats him because that's your child, dandy. But he's a grown man now and he needs to stand up and take care of his responsibility. Like, my daughter looks exactly like him and I really cannot figure out how he denies her.
Mr. Pendleton denies resemblance between himself and the child, stressing his previous long-term relationship that did not result in pregnancy. This raises doubts about his fertility and the child's paternity.
Your Honor, she don't look nothing like me. She don't got none of my features. You know, my nose, my mouth, my eyes, nothing. And on spite of that, I've been in a relationship for 8 years prior to this. Tried for 6 years to have a baby and couldn't. So.
But he thinks my daughter look like his father. So talking about.
Child looks like you.
A heated exchange occurs where Ms. Cotton insists Mr. Pendleton's mother is planting doubts in his mind, influencing his denial of their daughter. This highlights the emotional and familial complexities.
And you say it's his mother, she's meddles, and she's the one that is putting this notion in his head that not love biological father.
Well, she said she was with another man at the same time.
What was the nature of this relation? Committed, or what were you
we
all?
were together, separated, but we were still having sex.
Mr. Pendleton expresses his doubts about the child's paternity after Ms. Cotton's admission of sleeping with another man during their relationship. This revelation adds to the uncertainty and mistrust between them.
But when she got pregnant, she told me she was pregnant. Like 2 weeks later, she called me and said it's impossible, you know, that the baby might not be mine. So if you call me and tell me that, then I'm not supposed to believe that the baby's 100% mine.
I slept with one person in a
So like she told me it was once.
one time.
But how can I
and
believe
we were not
you
together.
when
So
I'm
at the
saying
end of the
you
day, I'm not
did
gonna
it?
do whatever I want.
So how are
my
you
body.
100% sure?
The judge questions the reliability of Ms. Cotton's assertion that she is 100% sure of the paternity, especially after learning that protection was removed during her encounter with another man.
It was protected until he took the condom off.
And that would be
But
unprotected.
she's 100% sure. So how can you be 100% sure if the guy, because allegedly she looked like me, but she a baby, she ain't got her features yet. You know,
How
don't get me
don't she
wrong.
have her
Don't get me
features
wrong,
yet?
she
Like-
beautiful, like she gorgeous, but I can't, you know, she a baby. Babies don't start developing.
Ms. Cotton reveals she was pregnant by Mr. Pendleton twice, increasing the stakes and emotional weight of the paternity test. This claim surprises the court and adds depth to her relationship history with Mr. Pendleton.
Pregnant in October.
October? You just said
I got
March. Like, which
pregnant
one is it?
and had a miscarriage.
Like,
Please don't sit here and try to play me like I didn't carry your baby the first time. This is what we're not going to do.
Well, how do we know your miscarriage was his?
The whole paternity is between me and him, but you subject yourself into it. So what are you
I'm just
saying?
Mr. Pendleton, you are the father.
Strap in for this wild start. Mr. Runnels kicks off the proceedings by sharing his lifelong medical condition, which convinced him he'd never hear the pitter-patter of little feet. Yet here he is, claiming his daughter Ireland is nothing short of a miracle, despite Ms. Taylor's bombshell assertion that he isn't the father.
Mr. Runnels, you claim a lifelong medical condition led you to believe you would never a father. That was until the birth of your daughter, who you claim is your miracle baby. Defendant says you are not the father. You are here to prove that miracles really do happen.
Yes, Your Honor.
Here comes a twist that'll make your head spin. Mr. Runless lays it all on the line, emphasizing the miraculous nature of potentially having a daughter. On the flip side, Ms. Taylor, with a heavy heart, admits to infidelity and suggests another man is the real father. As you reel from this revelation, the upcoming segment turns up the drama even more.
Mr. Runnels, why is this test so important to you?
This test is so important to me. For me to be able to have a daughter, it's a miracle.
Yes, Your Honor.
You say you want miracle too.
Yes.
But you just don't don't believe
No, I don't.
this is the case.
Brace yourself for some medical lingo. Mr. Runlees delves into his diagnosis of hypospadias, where things aren't quite where they should be, leading to multiple fruitless surgeries. His fertility hanging by a thread has shadowed his entire life. If you're curious about how this shakes out, the following details will definitely pique your interest.
Called a hypospadias. All it is it's where the hole in the penis is in the wrong spot.
Okay.
Instead of being up top, more towards the bottom of the head. The doctor just said that it's a big ability that I may never be able to have kids if the surgeries don't take.
Oh, and
I've
so
had-
you actually had surgeries
Yes,
for this
I've had
condition
like 4.
to try to correct this particular
Yeah,
issue.
and none of them's worked, closed back up, and the original hole opened back up.
Get ready for the emotional roller coaster to hit a steep drop. Ms. Taylor confesses to stepping out on Mr. Runless, sparking a fiery debate over who Ireland's real daddy is. The plot thickens as Mr. Runless discovers the betrayal through a Facebook deep dive, adding layers to their already complex relationship.
We had unprotected sex. We tried for so many times to have it. Nothing was working. So then I decided to go and do something different. A guy I had actually known for a little while.
Her original story, because like I said, like this is a miracle baby to me. You know, this is, bottom line is, this don't work. If this is not my kid, there's not no more to it.
Actually, I told the other guy on Facebook that I might be pregnant. It could be his baby. And I told him too.
And then just when you think you've got a handle on it, there's more. Despite doubts about his biological tie to Ireland, Mr. Runless is her legal daddy, fully involved and bracing for whatever the DNA test throws his way. This mix of law and emotion sets the stage for even more unexpected turns.
Because up until that, you believed
was my
you
child.
were the
Yeah.
father, and this was your miracle
And I mean,
child.
legally, I am the father.
How far along was she when you found out, or was baby Ireland already here when you broke it?
I was about 22 weeks when he found out.
I was through the hospital appointments, all pregnancy, ran her when she needed it. I went to the door when she wanted something, you know, I was there.
This segment is a real heart-tugger. As the courtroom drama unfolds, Mr. Runless pledges his unwavering commitment to Ireland, irrespective of the test's outcome. He lays bare the emotional and legal ties that bind him to her. You won't want to miss what happens next as the tension ramps up to a whole new level.
Your Honor, I was at the hospital. The other guy was not by our choice. I requested to have a DNA test done at the hospital, but I left in minutes to go outside, get some fresh air or whatever, and I came back up, talked to Miss Taylor to see if she had talked to the doctors about getting one done, and she said no, that she wasn't going to do it. When we got home, I was like, why? Because I don't want you to leave me.
This is where it gets really crunchy. The core issue of Mr. Runless's potential biological fatherhood is spotlighted amid his medical complexities and their impact on his self-perception and relationship dynamics. As this key chapter unfolds, the next revelation is set to be a total game changer.
You are here today to determine if you are biological father. Why is it so important to you to establish that you are also the biological father?
I've never gotten into my medical disorder. You know, I've never been into it. I've never made myself 100% of exactly what was going on. You know, in my heart, knowing for so long that I've never had a kid. I'm trying to have a kid since I've been 18 years old. Just something I need to.
Things are heating up. The possible fallout from the DNA results threatens to upheave Mr. Runless's relationship with both Ireland and Ms. Taylor. If the child isn't his, he's poised to walk away, showing just how much is riding on this outcome. Stay tuned, because what comes next is sure to throw you for a loop.
I want her to have the best future she can have. I don't want my daughter to have no father. I want the best for her. I want her to have an understanding childhood. I want her to go to college, everything. She needs a father to be able to have a shoulder when mommy's not around. I just feel like if she had know who her real dad is, 18, she won't hate me as much either. Because she'll be like, well, you at least you went up, you did all this for me. You went and did the DNA to prove to me to show me who the real father was.
Here's the moment of truth. Brace for impact.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Runnels, you are her father.
Buckle up for this roller coaster. Mr. Lloyd kicks things off with a bombshell, asserting with full confidence that he is the true biological father of Ms. Rayleigh's daughter, Courtney Marie Grimes. He recounts how he was initially duped into believing he was the dad, only to be stunned by the revelation of another potential father lurking in the background. The courtroom is charged with tension as he sets the stage for a drama-filled quest for truth.
Mr. Lloyd, you are in court today to prove that you are the biological father of the defendant's 1.5-year-old daughter, Marie Grimes. You claim the defendant led you to believe that you were father, only to have a bomb dropped on you that another man was her dad.
Yes, Your Honor.
Hold on to your seats. In a swift counter, Ms. Rayleigh throws a curveball by adamantly denying Mr. Lloyd's claims, insisting he is not Courtney's father. She confidently promises to prove her case today, stirring up a whirlwind of intrigue and conflict in the courtroom. This spicy exchange just sets the scene for more jaw-dropping moments ahead.
Ms. Rayleigh, you say you are 100% sure that Mr. Lloyd is not Courtney's biological father, father and prove your case in court today.
Yes, Your Honor.
Just when you thought it couldn't get more dramatic, the court delves into the emotionally charged moment Ms. Raley revealed her pregnancy to Mr. Lloyd. Overflowing with excitement at the prospect of fatherhood, Mr. Lloyd recalls his joy, which soon becomes clouded by doubts and uncertainty due to Ms. Raley's ambiguous remarks about who the real father could be.
When she tells you pregnant, she comes to you and says what exactly?
We was actually sitting in her room, we was talking. She started crying, said, pregnant. I was excited, this is my first child. Take up the responsibility of Grimes' life. I already had doubt. I knew of this guy. So the third month, I take her mom out to eat. We just nipped it in the bud like, this your baby.
You won't see this twist coming. During a crucial dinner that was supposed to clear the air, Ms. Raley appears to affirm Mr. Lloyd's paternity, only to flip the script months later as Courtney's birth neared, plunging Mr. Lloyd into a vortex of confusion and betrayal. The revelation sends shockwaves through the courtroom, and guess what? It only gets wilder from here.
Well, Your Honor, I was 9 pregnant when I found out I was pregnant. That's when the doubting and everything, I said, well, 9 weeks ago, I wasn't with Mr. Lloyd at all. I was with Mr. Grimes. It was around Super Bowl, which was in February the 2nd is the day that they trying to say I was conceiving between the 2nd, I believe the 6th. I wasn't around Mr. Lloyd at the time they had gave me my conceiving date.
Are you ready for this turn? In a revealing confession, Mr. Lloyd discusses his decision to distance himself after doubting his paternity, only to be drawn back by Ms. Raley's persistent uncertainties about the baby's real dad. His recount of this back and forth adds layers of complexity to their tumultuous relationship.
Like the last 4 months, the 7th, 8th month, I left. I said, I'm done with it. This is not my baby. I moved to Indiana. I stayed down there for like a month. I get a phone call. I have doubt. I think the baby was even born. She was like, her baby, your mother knows. That's what she told me. That's what made me come back and try to continue on, be there for my daughter.
You might want to sit down for this one. In a bizarre and almost theatrical confrontation, both potential fathers, Mr. Lloyd and Mr. Grimes, team up in a surprising sting operation to confront Ms. Raley for the truth. This high-stakes showdown adds a dose of absurdity and desperation to the mix, illustrating just how tangled and fraught the situation has become.
I got my whole family calling me like, why is it another man with your daughter Paige talking about daddy's baby? Like I said, I got doubts. She look like him. She got my nose. She look like both of us, you ask me, but
Who's paying child support to help support this baby? You don't have to pay child support.
I still come out of pocket whatever I want to.
Support but it also can just be done personally between the parents.
Get ready for the climax!
It has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Lloyd.
Buckle up for this one. Miss McCrary kicks off the court drama by requesting a DNA test to prove that Mr. Goodson is the father of her 18-month-old daughter, Arian. She lays out her frustrations and emphasizes the need to sort out the paternity today. Her emotional plea sets the stage for a fiery exchange.
Ms. McCrary, you have petitioned the court for a DNA test to prove that the defendant is the father of your miracle baby, 18-month-old Arian McCrary.
Yes, Your Honor.
You claim that Goodson has done enough for your daughter, but today that's going change.
And the plot thickens. Mr. Goodson claps back with a denial of paternity, claiming he's not the father of Miss McCrary's child and expressing his refusal to take responsibility for a child he believes isn't his. His firm stance cranks up the tension in the courtroom. Watch out for the next twist.
Mr. Goodson, you say the plaintiff has brought the wrong man to court and you refuse to do anything for a child who is not biologically yours.
Yes, Your Honor.
Talk about awkward. Miss McCrary recounts a painful episode where Mr. Goodson allegedly ignored her and their daughter in a store, illustrating the personal and emotional depth of their dispute over paternity. The atmosphere gets even more charged from here.
He was in the store. He was with his other family. If I see you with your teenage children, you walk past us, how would that make you feel?
Mr. Goodson, did you walk past Arian in the store, not even acknowledge her at all?
Actually seen each other at the same time. She was coming and I was going toward the checkout. She was going, I guess, to get an item or something.
Things are getting juicy. Mr. Goodson lays out his suspicions about Miss McCrary's fidelity, questioning her loyalty, and describing how her secretive behavior fueled his doubts about being the father. His recount adds a layer of intrigue to the drama.
Yes, Your Honor. We just was friends hanging out and thought, I developed a couple of feelings for her. So I was like, what she had.
A couple feelings.
So,
you developed feelings for her.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you all ever discuss making this thing a committed relationship?
When she disappeared, when I brought the subject up, that's when she disappeared on me. Try to start a relationship with her, she disappeared on me.
Detail alert. Miss McCrary vividly recounts the specific night she believes was the moment of conception, providing a play-by-play of their dinner and evening activities. Her detailed memory attorney aims to cement her certainty about the paternity. Brace yourself for Mr. Goodson's reaction to the pregnancy news. It's a doozy.
You know, we hadn't had protected sex. So come on, you know, at the end of the day, when it's all said and done that night, how was it? You tell me, because it was great.
Bottom line is you all were in a sexual relationship and you remember it down to the extra chicken and
The extra chicken, Your Honor, the extra cheese, the extra lick.
Here comes a curveball. When Miss McCrary breaks the pregnancy news, Mr. Goodson's reaction is filled with skepticism and a hint of disbelief, especially upon learning that she might have been involved with others during that time. His reaction brings a new level of complexity to their relationship issues.
Like I said, about 3 to 4 months, then all of a sudden I get a call and say, hey, you know, I'm pregnant. And so I was, you know, my expression was like, you know, why you telling me? And she had told me that, you know, she had been, you know, sleeping with someone else.
When's that part?
I can't remember the exact discussion we was having, but I know it came to the point about, you know, seeing other people. Then she say, well, I had been sleeping with.
A critical moment unfolds. Mr. Goodson visits the hospital days after Arian's birth, acknowledging her beauty, but keeping his emotional distance due to his past experiences with paternity issues. This visit opens up old wounds and sets the stage for the emotional climax.
I went down to the hospital, I think like the second day after she was born. You know, I seen her, you know, she was a beautiful baby. She was a beautiful little girl. I know kids can, you know, they'll come out light and eventually they'll get darker and look like.
You've been through a paternity issue before.
Yes, Your Honor.
Was it determined that you were the father or you were not?
I was not the father.
You were not.
After 4 years.
The moment of truth arrives with a bang.
Has been determined by this court. Mr. Goodson, you are the father.
Oh, okay.
Can you believe we're diving into this drama? The case of Alexander versus Washington kicks off as Jerome ushers in the proceedings and the participants exchange greetings with the judge. Mr. Alexander steps up with a bold claim that he's Miss Washington's biological dad, and he's not just a little bit sure, he's all in. Miss Washington, on the other hand, throws a curveball of doubt, having never even heard her supposed dad's name from her mom.
This is a case of Alexander versus Washington.
Mr. Alexander, you claim the defendant's mother led you to believe that no other man except you could be Miss Washington's biological father. Are 100% certain plan to prove that today. Ms. Washington, you say you don't believe that Mr. Alexander is your biological father because your mother never mentioned his name.
You won't believe the conviction here. Mr. Alexander doubles down, 100% convinced that he is Miss Washington's father, citing his past relationship with her mother, who allegedly confirmed his sole paternity. He recounts the heart-tugging moment of hearing the voice of the daughter he never knew, searching through social media to reconnect. His mix of hope and melancholy paints a complex picture of lost years and the quest for closure. And just when you think you've heard it all, the next turn takes the emotional stakes even higher.
So, Mr. Alexander, you say you are 100% sure you are the father.
Because her mother led me to believe that in the time that together that I'm the only man that she ever has associated with it.
You were the only man that she was intimate. What else did her mother say?
She said that I was the father of her child.
Oh, you were led to believe that and you never believed anything different?
No, ma'am, I didn't, Your Honor.
This part just throws another layer of spice into the mix. Miss Washington is not holding back, unpacking her skepticism and the emotional turmoil tied to Mr. Alexander's decades-long absence, popping up out of the blue when she was already rocking a full-grown adult life at 29. She vividly describes the jarring moment a stranger called claiming to be her dad, throwing her whole understanding of her family into a whirlwind. Her reaction is raw and packed with a struggle to mesh this new reality with her lifelong beliefs.
Contacted me at 29. Like, you missed out. If I was, you would have been there. Not at 29. And now I'm 42.
Can you take me to the day you first heard about Mr. Alexander?
I was about 29 years old. One night my phone rang. I answered and he's like, I'm looking for Tish. And I'm like, this. And he's like, I'm your dad. No, you're not. Like, I never heard of.
In a twist worthy of a soap opera, witness Larry White steps into the spotlight, testifying that he was the matchmaker who introduced Mr. Alexander to Miss Washington's mom. He drops the bomb that not only did he make the introduction, but he later found out they had a child together, news to him at the time. This revelation adds a juicy layer of drama, backing up Mr. Alexander's claims and injecting more credibility into his story. Keep your eyes peeled because the courtroom drama escalates from here.
Can you tell the court about the relationship you had with Miss Washington's mother? How did you meet?
We met through a friend of mine named Larry, this gentleman right here. He introduced me to.
Your witness?
Yes, ma'am.
Alexander has just testified that you introduced him to Miss Washington's mother.
I did. I knew her, Annie, and I owned a restaurant in Phoenix, Arizona.
Just when you think it couldn't get more tangled, the court delves into the sticky web of DNA testing, especially furtherly complicated by Miss Washington's medical history, including a bone marrow transplant. This segment highlights the tricky nature of paternity tests when medical conditions could skew the results, casting doubt on earlier tests and paving the way for an intense investigative twist by the court. The next revelation is about to drop, and trust me, it's a doozy.
I picked him up. They told us in 2 to 3 days they'll let us know. 3 weeks went by and I haven't heard anything. I called her back. I'm like, okay, so what is it? And so she said he wasn't.
And then she says, I'm sorry, he's not your father.
Yes.
Understanding why the DNA test was so important? And do you remember her telling you that they called back and the lab said that you were not her biological father?
This is the big reveal. Grab your tissues.
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Alexander, you are not the father. I'm very sorry, Miss Washington.
Buckle up for this one. Mr. Wilson drops a bombshell accusation that Ms. Dean was cavorting with other men in his very home, an act he deems utterly scandalous. The audience can hardly believe their ears and gasps aloud. Mr. Wilson confirms this jaw-dropper to the judge.
Mr. Wilson, you've opened your case today to prove that Ms. Dean's 17-month-old daughter, Jakaya, is not biological child. You say you moved her into your home, laid out the red carpet, only to find out she was rolling around other men in your home.
Yes, Your Honor.
You won't see this twist coming. Ms. Dean fires back, claiming Mr. Wilson is the rightful dad to her daughter despite his recent cold shoulder. She passionately argues her case, saying his denial is tearing both her and the child apart.
Ms. Dean, you say Mr. Wilson has turned his back on your daughter and he welcomed her into the world and signed her birth certificate. You claim Mr. Wilson is her father and his denial is hurting you and your daughter.
Yes, Your Honor.
Hold on to your popcorn. Mr. Wilson is fed up, citing a history of being duped by women, which now fuels his doubt about fathering Ms. Dean's child, Jakaya. He's at his wit's end, pleading with the court for answers so he can finally close this chapter.
Your Honor, I don't believe I'm the father because I have been fooled by multiple females in the past.
What do you mean you planned this?
I have been going down this rodeo for far too long. I signed on a birth certificate. I'm not there physically. I just can't handle it because she just no consistency. I just want the answers today so I can just have closure.
Just when you thought it was intense, Ms. Dean argues that the paternity test is totally unnecessary, insisting it's crystal clear Mr. Wilson is the dad since they plan to have the baby together. As she accuses him of fabricating stories, the tension thickens.
Ms. Dean, you say this is unnecessary.
It really is. He's being not only belligerent, lying, him and his family is lying because not only did we plan this baby, we had concession. I had my period.
You had concession?
We was literally getting down, doing things. I was just...
You're gonna love this part. The plot thickens as Mr. Wilson and Ms. Dean bicker over previous agreements and romantic plans, which they hilariously refer to as concessions. Their conflicting stories paint a picture of a relationship that's more roller coaster than romance. And guess what? It gets even wilder from here.
On my Facebook page, liking my comment, my pictures, she hit me up like, what you time I was taking care of my stuff. I had my own house, car, working, things of that nature. Because I had previous relationships with her past, I was single, she was single. We decided to meet up and we met up and we planned the baby. The baby was just not a coincidence.
Get ready for a curveball. Amidst the chaos of their relationship, Mr. Wilson is there at the hospital as Jakaya is born, cutting the umbilical cord, which signifies his initial acceptance of fatherhood, despite his growing suspicions.
Tell me, Mr. Wilson, you've been informed of the pregnancy. Were you there at the birth? What happens when Jakaya was born?
I had to be there at the birth, Your Honor, because I cut the umbilical cord for her to have the baby.
Did you go to doctor's appointment, baby?
She never followed through with it.
Cut the umbilical cord?
I did want to.
Did you sign the birth certificate?
Yes, I did.
You did?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, the plot thickens as Mr. Wilson stumbles upon Ms. Dean's ex, lurking in her apartment late at night. His doubts about the baby's paternity shoot through the roof. This revelation shakes the very foundation of what little trust was left.
Oh, she's always in a different room of the apartment. And I'm like, why you never around the kids? Why? She said, I can't talk now because my ex is here. And why is he there 11 o'clock at night if the kids got school in them?
And he knew exactly what was going on with that other guy. He don't want to take responsibility and be a man and stand up. We came over to visit. How was it 30 days we was having concessions all that time? He is lying, bro.
Grab your seats, folks. Mr. Wilson decides to confront the ex at a bus stop, seeking some semblance of truth about his relationship with Ms. Dean. The ex's revelations only add fuel to the fire of Mr. Wilson's doubts.
Told me I didn't have sex with him. He's just laying on the couch. Okay, I went with that. When I ran into him at the bus stop, I said, this is coincidence. Now I can man up and ask him face to face. What's the story in his end? If it add up to what she's telling me, I asked him, I said, is y'all having a child together? He's like, yeah. I said, what y'all be having? He said, a little girl. He went into detail. So there, that fueled my doubt.
This was before the baby was born?
Yes, before.
Here comes the moment of truth.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Wilson, you are not the father. Miss Faithful, stop.